looking for something. A new way, a new understanding, a connection, some comfort. You've got questions, and Light on Living puts the spotlight on all the answers so you can shine. Lift and lighten the load of life's challenges and learn simple and easy ways to live a healthy, happy life. You'll gain insight and start to see things in a new way that motivates you. You're invited to hear new, see different, and feel more as Lisa shines the light on living.
Woohoo, everyone. Happy Monday. You are here listening to Light on Living. Welcome, welcome. Today is going to be super duper fun. And I say fun, I feel like I just left it. I want to say an amusement park, but it's not. There is a lot of really deep valleys in this amusement park too. I feel like I stepped out of a movie theater after watching a really intense, awesome movie that I'm going to be thinking about for I don't even know, a month straight now. So everybody, I want to let you know that I have with me Seth Leaf, and I said, I hope I say this right again, Pruzansky. Did I do that right, Seth?
Perfect. You said it perfect.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, Seth is here today, and I'm so happy to say this, that he is here today with us as an author. This is a new thing. Not that he's certainly a new writer. After reading your book, Seth, oh my gosh, you are an incredible writer. Wow. There you go.
Thank you.
And everybody listening, so yes, I'm interviewing Seth on his book, The Fight To Enlight, Initiation Through the Heart is the Only Way to Win. And I actually knew Seth as, I was calling him the water guy before, crystals and water guy. That was what I knew him as. And now I really know you because your book is so personal, so deep, so enlightening. And you, I know you do throat singing. I knew that you went out into nature. Well, I didn't even know you had that much experience, but you have tons of it. You go in nature and live, and you're with one, and you have the crystals, but you're just more than spiritual. What word do you use to describe yourself? Is there one?
Actually there isn't, because the essence of what it is that we truly are it's beyond human comprehension. However, it's within the realms of human perception if we start to scale back on all of the conditioning that has affected all of us so deeply. If we learn a process of detanglement and disidentification with conditioning of the things that we think are real, because very simply, there is an energy in all of us, an innate intelligence that is causing our heart to beat. It's causing all of these anatomical, physiological reactions to take place in our body faster than the speed of light. And when we're thinking oh, I'm me, this is my life, this is what I'm going to do today, we're so focused on external things that we have forgotten that we are able to focus on an internal thing that will empower us to perceive reality beyond the speed of, basically in alignment with the quantum world. So there isn't really any words that I would say except for all of them.
Oh, yes. I love that. I love that you said beyond the speed. Actually, it's funny. You just reminded me, and thank you for doing that. One of the words that jumped out of the book for me was you talked about light years. There's just a conversation in your book. You tell stories and you have, they're not characters. This is your real life. So when people are picking up this book, it's a very different knowing and feeling that this was your life. These are real people that were in your life and are in your life. The stories are really deep and detailed and wow, right? But it all starts with you questioning as a child. Why am I here? What purpose? Not just what's my purpose, but why am I here? Why? It's it had this different feeling to your questioning. And you spoke about one time you were speaking with Damien and about light years. And I thought, what a weird word that we actually even came up with. How does that even well, yes, we can measure it. But when you just said faster than the speed of light, that things are going on fast. What is that? Can you just touch on that for a second about our reality and our perception and things are happening faster than the speed of light?
So essentially, because of the conditioning of our past that we've all been subjected to, we perceive things in very linear ways, and we believe that time itself is a reality. And nothing could be further than the truth. The way we perceive time, the way we've been taught to perceive time, none of this is actually in alignment with what is really going on. So light years, the idea of using the intellect to unlock the intellect, using emotions to get beyond emotions, these are all things that I've learned how to apply to break my own perceptual prison that kept me entangled in the belief that all I perceive with my human senses is all there is. And it has gotten me to a place where I'm beginning to really, not beginning, but I have for a long time been in the process of reemerging with this energy that is animating my being, and knowing that that is the primary expression of what it is that I truly am and what life is, and that my human senses are really just a secondary expression in juxtaposition to this primary expression of life force, of energy, that this quantum field that is animating the human being.
I love that, animating the human being. And you don't even know this, but I did a Facebook Live earlier today, and I chose an animation type sketch character. That's fun. Okay, so where my mind went, especially when you're just saying that, how time. Okay, I want to ask two questions, but one of them is that time, the perception of time, when we're little. You know, we're kids and stuff. We have schedules because our parents or, guardians are telling us that, okay, you've got to go to school at this time, you've got to sleep at this time. But then we kind of, I think, as kids get lost and we don't really know about time. But then it turns into a fear thing. Like, I'm running out of time. I don't have enough time. You're wasting my time. Why does time get such a bad rep and feared of being lost?
Well, because we fear our own mortality. We have been basically conditioned to be part of a corporate, civilized mentality that is supporting a system that we're witnessing crumbling everywhere around us right now. And so we have unknowingly traded our own internal power, our ability to self-illuminate, for external means. We invest our attention in things that truly are limited, that are not actually in alignment with our potential. And we become addicted to believing that that's all that there is. And so people get stuck in that. They really, addiction is the word, they become addicted to the belief that they are a limited being, having a limited experience, to the degree that it completely cuts them off from the magic, the awe, the wonderment, the true nature of what it is that we are. And again, there's this limited intelligence of the human ego, you could say, that is perceiving things in a limited way. That has become predominant over the unlimited innate intelligence that is in every single one of our bodies. So to break out of that is to say, you know what, this isn't right, or this isn't the way it seems. There's something deeper going on here. And when we begin to take what little bit of intelligence we have with our limited awareness and start to focus on the innate intelligence of our body, then we get a conscious upgrade, you could say. We start to become more consciously aware of our essential nature, what we really are, why we truly incarnated, and we begin to compose our life or conduct our life and take steps in a way that lead us closer to our actual reason for incarnating.
I just had two aha moments in that. That is the wow answers. You said we are investing our attention in truly limited things. And how true is that? Oh my gosh, that's so crazy true. And if we are investing our attention on those limiting things, I'm going to just share this with the listeners. You have to read the book, guys, but Seth really shares his I don't even want to call it a struggle or a battle experience. Your experience with addiction, drugs, and drugs are limited. The high will only be for so long. And is that something that was? Can you share with us that how you came around and either learned or was enlightened to that fact that the high was always limited, the drugs were always limited, but the enlightenment wasn't?
Beautiful question. So, yeah, let's break that down even further, because the reality is drugs, anything that we focus on externally and invest our attention or energy into, becomes like an addiction. And drugs are the more extreme expression of that: drugs, gambling, sex, the things that, shopping, eating, all the things that people, those are the extremes of it. But even still, which many people look beyond, just where we're focusing on our attention, our thought process, our feelings, the things that most of us just think are who we are. We just think it's normal. We are addicted to that. And so to really address the root cause of addiction is to recognize that we have been a part of something, whether by choice, whether by subjugation, have been subjected to focusing on the limitations of our human expression instead of realizing that we're beautiful enough and innocent enough and powerful enough to focus inwards and focus on the unlimited, the immortal, the just most self-illuminating aspects of our human existence. And if we take that energy that we might not even realize is addicted on thinking the same thoughts over and over, feeling the same feelings over and over, or like I said, in the most extreme cases, drug addiction or any other kind of addiction, and instead take that energy and focus it on getting into a sound state of heart-brain coherence, which then leads to a state of a whole body coherence where all the organs of the body are syncopated to the joyous beat of our heart. Then suddenly our consciousness just opens up, it expands, and it starts to get synced up to the greater nature of reality. Like the universe. We know the universe is in an expansive state, but most people, the way they perceive reality is in a very constricted way. And so instead of focusing on the expansion that is naturally arising within each one of us, just like a spring bubbles up into the woods, a naturally pure spring, there's a naturally pure flow of consciousness, of awareness, of energy that is always bubbling to the surface of our awareness. Most of us have it buried in our unconscious or our subconscious, but the more we trust that it's there, allow it to emerge, and prioritize it over our external means of identification, then it starts to take greater precedence in our life, and it allows us to live in a completely new way where we almost become rewarded with the self-illumination that happens as a result of our internal focus.
Oh my God, that was beautiful. Awarded by the self-realization. That's actually, I love that. That's something to strive for. Not even strive for. Allow. Okay. The fact that you said prioritize, that is a really important word. I share that I really have to focus on prioritizing that because I get busy. I get attention addicted, right? I don't have a drug addiction. I have an attention addiction. Where am I focusing? And I love that you said prioritizing. You said bubbling. Okay. So I'm imagining everybody has this enlightened, I love that you said joyous beat in our heart. And is it that we are stopping, not allowing it to come up? Or is it that we are not aligning and having that coherence? Or is it that we're not asking and then making the time to listen? How are we stopping this from happening?
So, yes to all of those questions. But it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. This, just what you asked is a beautiful question, and it can really elicit a lot of much deeper things that aren't really even necessary to go in, but essentially things like karmic implications and things that are beyond the structure of this current life, this current incarnation that we're living. So not putting all of that into perspective, the reality is it doesn't matter who we are or what we've been through or any of that. We can now, in this life, intentionally choose to get into a state of heart-brain coherence. And as we do that, then our wounding, our trauma, the things that keep us kind of stuck on autopilot out of our holistic sense of self or our authentic self begin to dissolve away from this greater place of coherence. And so the more we do that, the more we move above and beyond the limiting factors of our own human perception, mostly that have accumulated in this life. And we begin to embody the authentic reality of our true reason for incarnating. And so this is going to look different for different people, but essentially it comes down to how much are you prioritizing external things, and how much in juxtaposition to how much are you willing to prioritize an internal state of coherence that will, with your commitment, eventually allow you to erode, just like water erodes rock, the beliefs, the ideas, the conditioning, the limitations that keep us stuck, limited, and afraid, which is where most people are, or complacent. A lot of people are just complacent with their life, who they think they are, and they may not be ultimately, quote unquote, happy or satisfied. They know there's something more, but they're just so complacent in their day-to-day life that it's not valuable enough for them to prioritize. But here's the thing, at the end of the day, everybody leaves their body, and all these things that we're talking about become front and center. So when you're really honest with yourself, it's like, well, why not allow the essence of what all that is to become prioritized while we're alive? Because when we do that, we can suddenly start to fit all the broken pieces together, heal them, and rise above all the limitations of the individual human experience and the collective human experience.
Okay, I love that you said collective, because after commercial, we are going to be talking about the collective experience and why is it important for us to start with ourselves individually and then bring it together. So we're going to sneak away to commercials, and in 2 minutes, we'll be right back with Seth Leaf Pruzansky. There we go.
The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
Hi, this is David Strickle. I'm excited to share my brand new show, The Stream of David Live, right here on OMTimes Radio. Each week, I'll have exciting guests, and I'll channel the eternal wisdom of the stream, a group of non-physical entities whose teachings have transformed lives all over the world. So join us for an uplifting hour each Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern. That's The Stream of David Live, right here on OMTimes Radio.
A social distancing tip.
Putting distance between yourself and others is critical to slowing the spread of coronavirus. So here are ways to stay in contact without the physical contact part. Call, send a text, set up a video conference, post on social media, dedicate a song on the radio. If you have symptoms of fever, dry cough, and shortness of breath, call your healthcare provider before going to their office. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part, because we're all #alone together. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Welcome back, guys, to Light on Living. I am here after having quite the journey, the adventure, the experience of reading this incredible book, The Fight To Enlight. Initiation through the heart is the only way to win. Seth Leaf Pruzansky. Oh my gosh, I did that. Pruzansky. I will get this right. It's got to say it a couple times. And I want to read the back of the book to everybody so they can just kind of get an idea of my gosh, like of everything that's been you went through. And yeah, there's so many things. Like I almost am questioning every word I say because I'm like, well, geez, I'm feeling, Seth, like I need to reprogram my language. Like, okay, well, I'm going to jump into that asker. That's the one question I want to ask you about. Like, I feel like everything needs to be reprogrammed. But so basically, this whole beautiful book is how a modern hemp pioneer found healing and self-liberation after facing enlightening near-death experiences, severe childhood bullying, extreme opioid addiction, incarceration for a non-violent marijuana crime, complete financial collapse, debilitating illness, countless heartbreaks, and how you can overcome any challenge you're facing by discovering your own inner strength and compassion for the world. And that's actually that's perfect. I love that kind of went right into it about inner strength and then compassion for the world. How important is it for us to reprogram, just have a new language? Like right now, I'm actually, after reading your book, Seth, and your story, so many things were kind of getting there. I was getting there. Things were floating around. I was learning. And then it kind of just rocked my world. Like, I need to use different words. I want to use different words. I want to say different things. Is that what happens? Did you go through that?
Yeah, it does. But here's the thing, like, we're so conditioned to this get rich quick scheme, or I want this now, or I need this now. It just happens to everybody. Like, we don't really have awareness of our ability to be patient. And while, yes, ultimately to become conscious of this internal connection that is present within everybody and make that the predominant expression of our human faculties, it does take a reprogramming, or it does take time, but it's not to do it in a stressful way, because if we try to go after it with this, like, oh, I need it now, I need to do this now because I'm out of alignment, or I feel like, then we're causing more stress to ourselves than we need to. So the thing is to recognize that there is a disconnect, but it's perfect. Embrace it. Like, it is exactly what we need. And becoming aware of it, we realize that it actually isn't a disconnect. It's just life being exactly what it is. And us becoming conscious of that is the first beautiful step in us taking consistent action to reintegrating back into the quantum field, or the mind of God, or this profound innate intelligence that is animating our being. So it's really essentially recognizing that it feels like there's, a disconnect, and then taking active steps to reintegrate it, but not in a stressful way, but doing it consistently. And this is what brings the results, because when we want to reprogram ourselves or recondition ourselves, if we do it in a stressful way, then we're kind of doing it with that energy, because we are very powerful. That's the thing nobody has really taught us or helped us understand, is how beautiful and miraculous and powerful we are. So when we choose to reconnect to this aspect of ourselves that we truly are, to do it in a I need this now, or in an addictive way, it's kind of bringing the old energy and old programming into it. So it's important to do it in a joyful way, to get into a state of heart brain coherence, but do it consistently. It's a reprioritization of values, where we learn to value what is truly priceless instead of giving so much, focus to things that we think are valuable, but that really aren't external things. Nothing is more valuable than a conscious awareness of this internal state.
You are absolutely a person who can say that. In the book, you share stories of, oh my gosh, of literally having what I would feel like more than nothing, like just more than that, like just your desire to even feed yourself was what was filling your life. And when you said about that, what is priceless versus what is valuable, it took you years, and you started at a very young age. I'd love to know what about the person who's just starting to explore what is priceless, like find out what is valuable, and they're 80 or they're 50 or does it matter?
It makes no difference. This can happen, and again, not to get people feel like this laborious thing to get there. It can happen instantaneously. I mean, it can happen in the blink of an eye. What we're talking about here is that human consciousness, human nature is essentially not constrained to the appearance or the limits of the human body, and that really essentially there is an unlimited, infinite quantum field that is animating the human body, almost like the human body is an antenna for this quantum information that is coming and going. And so if we can tap into the part of ourselves that considers that might be a reality, and ask to connect with it, have the intention that, we are a species that is definitely not, we work all the time. We're always working, we're always laboring, but is it a labor of love? our lifestyles, the things that we're doing are not in coherence or not in alignment with the natural rhythms of the planet. So that right there should be a big indicator that something's off. Then it comes down to the foods, the way we perceive information, the way we interact with others, our relationships. Usually there's a lot of friction and there's a lot of stuff that's coming up. So this further begs the question, what is it in me that prevents me from living in a state of calm, of joy, of connection? And the answer is nothing. There's nothing in between you and that except for your own conditioned perception of it that has mostly accumulated throughout the course of this life. So with that in mind, this means that we can literally override all of the limitations that we feel and think and are so invested into believing is all there is in a split second. But the approach to it is one where, it's okay to wade your dip your toes in the water a little bit and feel around before you deep dive in. But the thing is to do it with joy, to do it with love, to do it with trust, and to do it consistently and make a labor of love out of doing that. Because I've done it the hard way. I've done really hardcore things because my need to know why I incarnated was so great that I went through things that I shouldn't have survived through. I do not advocate that for anybody because it's a miracle I've even lived through the things that I have. And there's been many times when I did not think that there was any even human self to return back to this human perception, but somehow it always did. And the lesson in this ultimately is that none of that was really actually necessary had I known that this can be done by anybody by slowly chipping away at it, by breathing in a state of heart-brain coherence, by not getting so addicted or attached to all the fear that's being projected by everybody and everything around us seemingly. And instead just be like, you know what, I'm going to turn down the volume to all that external noise, and I'm going to consciously choose to start turning up the frequency that is being emitted from within my own being, the frequency that causes my heart to beat, that causes thoughts to arise in my mind, that sends information, energy, and this miraculous force through and around my body faster than the speed of light. The more you turn up the volume to that internally, the more that is going to become a predominant reality in your perception of self and reality.
That was so beautiful. I'm feeling like, the song they say, pump up the volume. And this way it's turn down the volume, pump up the frequency. But
yeah.
What you said there now, for people who are listening and they are suffering from an illness, and I say suffering because, which is a tough one for people to hear. And even for myself, are we choosing to suffer because we have an illness? Are we choosing suffering when we are financially, broke? Are we choosing, and what came to me was, if we're asking for change, that's the wrong place. We want to ask for, wait, no, let me ask you. Are we asking for answers or are we asking for change? And if we're asking for change, is that where that instant gratification is coming from? And we should, did you get an answer or did you have a revelation or did you just have to do work and change?
It's a mixture of it all. It's a mixture of it all. And again, it's not a one-size-fits-all, but it's like I said earlier, the more we consciously and intentionally choose to make these internal states of awareness a priority, the more the universe or the more these internal states begin to reward us with feedback that our internal efforts are being remunerated. Otherwise, when we take consistent active steps to illuminate the parts of our awareness that feel dark or stuck, the more we become, random synchronicities will happen in the world around you, and you will become aware of them, and you will realize that this internal commitment, this reprioritization of values, and your willingness to explore this from a calm, cool, collected place, just really learning to love it, even if it doesn't seem as blatant and real as the appearance of the world around you, then slowly it starts to become real, because human perception is very much like working your muscles or building new muscles in a gym or learning a new habit. When you flex your perceptual muscles, you exercise them. And it's good to flex them a lot, really consider what the possibilities are, and then you rest. And a lot of the growth, like say in muscles when you're exercising, come with when you're resting. So it's like you actively work on creating a state of heart-brain coherence, or really deeply considering if any of this stuff is true, and from your heart wanting to know, asking, like really with setting intention, like almost like demanding in a way that you need to know, but then letting it all go and resting and then revisiting it again the next day. And this builds new perceptual, muscular strength that over time allows you to become more and more perceptive of these somewhat invisible worlds that aren't actually invisible or unseen. It's just that human beings are in a state of perceptual atrophy. And we have to take it upon ourselves, for the most part, to reactivate these dormant perceptual energy centers that are within every single one of us, that are connected to our glands and our plexus centers and all these different parts of our human body that are very much work like antenna receivers for universal information, because that's what we are. And so the more we activate these parts of ourselves, the more incoherent they become within our own body, the more consciously coherent we become. And then we start having it reflected to us, the proof that this is real and this is working, reflected to us in universal coherence. And this is a whole other topic, but essentially you start to embody the potential of the universe, and you witness it in things that you never would even think are possible of witnessing it in. So
that is beautiful. You start to embody the potential of the universe. And that's, I love that you went so big there, because I know I only have you for 5 more minutes. So I wanted to ask this question, because everything you just said there, I feel like everybody can get there. It sounds gorgeous. It sounds beautiful. That's where I want to be. And then they look and they do that thing, because we all do it. They look at their reality of what they're perceiving. They're like, I'm suffering from this illness. I'm suffering from migraines. I don't make enough money. So I love that you said, so you explore. You go and you ask a question and you listen with your heart, because what my question was around this is that that's where they're starting. And now we're going to ask the question, then we're going to rest for a couple of days so it can build. What does the person do who doesn't know what? They don't see anything wrong. They're like, no, I'm doing everything I can. I meditate. I do yoga. I have crystals. I drink clean water. I am doing it all. I'm just not worthy of it, or don't deserve it, or I'm missing something. Where does that person start if they don't know how to listen with their heart?
So those are that's all conditioning. Those are just self-limiting beliefs that we have unknowingly accepted as realities when they're not. They're just the temporary limitations of a being that is on its way to self-illumination. So anybody can learn. The HeartMath Institute is amazing. They have done so much research on heart-brain coherence, and they have great techniques that teach people how to get into a state of heart-brain coherence. And when you do that and you get into a state of heart-brain coherence and you learn, getting into it is one thing, but sustaining it at high levels is where the rubber meets the road, and that's where it takes a lot more practice. But once you do that and you commit to a practice like this, I always tell people heart-brain coherence is the gateway to activating these dormant perceptual energy centers of the mind and body, and there are infinite amounts of them. This goes into infinity. I mean, you can activate yourself so much and become so aware and so feel so embodied and feel so in coherence with the universe, only to realize that you have only just begun your journey. I mean, this is something that is infinite, but getting started, getting into a state of heart-brain coherence allows you to become consciously in coherence with your body. And when that happens, you find naturally that your body is already in coherence with the rhythms of the earth, with the rhythms of the solar system. And all of that, as you know, is in coherence with the rhythms of the galaxy, the universe, the multiverse, and then way beyond. You break through all perceptual barriers of even the perception of physical things, no matter how great or small they are. And that is when you are touching the point of what it is. You know, you realize that you are the evolutionary impulse of life itself, evolving in real time, and that all the things that you think are problems or limitations are actually perfect. They are your greatest teacher. They, even if they seem limited and small, they are not. They are perfectly placed right where they are, no matter how seemingly insignificant they seem, to give you something to work with, to teach you, to give you the encouragement to either choose to stay in resistance to that, or like water erodes rock, to continuously just flow into it. And if you do that, you make that choice to flow into it, eventually whatever it is you're in resistance of will erode away, and then a greater ocean of potential possibility will start to come into view, and it'll start to flow through you.
I love that. I love it. There's so many options that you're helping us to just explore, even for the mind right now. You know, it starts in the mind. And I want to take this moment because I know we're going to say goodbye to you, but we are coming back after the commercial break where I will continue to talk about Seth and from his book and how you can get in touch with him and for what reasons. But on this note, Seth, if you just in 30 seconds to share what beautiful last words you have, and then I'll do all the fun invitations after the commercial.
Oh, thank you. So one, thank you for having me on. And I
thank
just want to urge everybody listening to this, if you're resonating with the words I say, do self-inquiry. Just listen to it. If you resonate with it, great. Keep listening to it, but know that it's not me. It is you. It is a part of you that is waking up and resonating with the frequency that I am emitting. And the more you become aware of that and let that guide you and teach you, then you will start to become aware of what it is in me that I've become aware of. And it is that will lead you beyond the confines of all that has ever held you and our entire species back.
Wow. I can't. Oh, everybody needs to get in touch with you, Seth. Quite honestly, I have to say this. I'm going to reveal all your fun ways to be contacted and your things that you're doing after the commercial break. So everybody, please come back. But thank you so much, Seth. And we will connect soon. And everybody connect with Seth. Okay.
Thank you, Lisa.
Okay, you're welcome. Bye, Seth.
Thanks. Bye.
The best of holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Consistently attract soulmate clients, begin showing up on brand, monetizing on your calling. Welcome all spiritual coaches, leaders, healers, light workers, and practitioners to a show that turns you on in your business and amplifies your magnetism. I'm host, catalyst, and spiritual business coach Rosalind Fung, and I'm here to journey with you into the juicy and help you discover where the real gaps are. Ignite your mindset and soul with strategies and systems as each episode takes you to the sweet spot that activates your soulgasmic business by tuning in on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Mountain. Join me for your light language activation and let's magnetize and monetize.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week, she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
Okay, thanks for being here with us, you guys. Light on Living just loves having authors that just, my gosh, this book. I'm holding this book. I can't believe that. I want to read it all over again. But you guys will want to read it for the first time. And the book is The Fight To Enlight. Initiation through the heart is the only way to win. And as you can hear, Seth was certainly sharing how that's done and how and why and all that good stuff. And it's Seth Leaf, Leaf. Pruzansky, Pruzansky. I'm going to put all the links there. But you know what, you guys, I want to share with you when I first met Seth, it was through Tourmaline Spring. So if you want to check out tourmalinespring.com and what that's about, or the Living Nuts with a Z, livingnuts.com, or I love this one. You guys got to go to the site. I'm awake now. What? Wait, so as if you'd say it, I'm awake now. What.com. And please get in touch with Seth. He is just such an incredible fellow. And if you want to hear some of his beautiful throat singing and just all of he's a musician and artist. You just got to connect. There's just such a thing. And what I've done here is I have double guests today. And now we're going to kind of turn into a co-hosting mode, because I really do believe, I keep hearing this statement, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And I did not know that Seth I didn't know about non-duality, basically. I didn't even know what the word self-inquiry was other than self-inquiry. All right, I get that. But I met GP Walsh, and we do a show on Tuesdays here together, The Flow of Enlightenment, on OMTimes Radio. But I'll tell you, I didn't know, when I started reading Seth's book, I was like, this is non-duality. This is self-inquiry. And so I thought, what a fabulous person to have come on, GP Walsh here, the master spiritual teacher of non-duality. And just so, GP, I'm going to welcome you on, because I have a couple questions to follow up after Seth's visit with us.
Wonderful. Hi, Lisa. So good to be joining you. I've never been on your show before.
Oh my gosh, that's true. Oh, look at that. Oh, well, welcome.
I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you. Light on Living really does that. And what Seth was really sharing, which I loved, was shining the light on things that are limitless, that don't have a limit, and this reprogramming. So I would love to have your take, and if you could share with, I think where Seth was going with this, and he did go with this, for listeners, is if we are going to reprogram ourselves, where do we shine the light first? Is the light inside of us shining out, or do we got to shine it inside?
Well, we have to learn how to shine it inside, right? And the thing is that, people tell you happiness is within, abundance, everything is within you. You turn your attention within and you don't see anything.
Right.
It's like, where's all the abundance, right? You're expecting to turn within and find this huge bank vault full of all the goodies, right? And in fact, there's just kind of this empty space. The first step to actually being able to probe the potential depths of self-inquiry is to come to what I call the yoga of allowing. It's a state of simply being allowing yourself to feel what it is that you're feeling when you're feeling it. That's where it starts, because if we all have an antagonistic or a conflicting relationship with ourselves, right? Yeah. That's why the self-help movement is $20 billion, because we're always trying to fix ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. There's this is wrong with me and this is wrong with me. Okay, I got to get this. I got to read this book. I got to do this class. I got to take these courses. I've got to meditate 18 hours a day. I've got to wear funny clothes. The entire thrust behind it is that essentially there's something wrong with me that that has to be fixed. Well, now, if I start out from the point of view that I'm broken and I need to be fixed, guess what? I'll find all the things that need to be fixed. The mind is just prolifically creative. It'll just create yet another problem to solve. So the first step is to simply let yourself feel what you're feeling. You simply allow yourself to feel right now, just as you are, without an agenda, without trying to change it, without trying to make it different, and not even subtly, okay, I'm allowing now. Is it fixed yet? It can be very, very subtle. What that does is bring you to the place of the heart, because the heart is inherently allowing. It's its nature. It has no conflict with anything. The mind has huge conflicts with things. As Mr. Kadada said, the mind creates the abyss, the heart crosses it.
Wow.
Wow. Because when you simply are allowing yourself to feel what you're feeling, you are in the state of unconditional love. It's that simple.
I love that you said the heart has no conflict. The heart has no conflict. Wow. That's like, I feel like that should be on the global flag. You know, if we had a flag for the globe, we just write that.
Well, that's what Christ was pointing at when he said, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God." Children of love, because he called God love. Love is your nature. Love is your essential nature. And that means love of yourself. And by unconditional love, I don't mean this, this fine china that's up on the shelf that you only use on special occasions. I mean, it's gritty, it's earthy, it's right here, it's right now. You got something about yourself you don't like? Completely allow it to be there and watch what happens.
Well, speaking of children,
when you drop the conflict, suffering ends.
Yes, and that leads me to asking, so when Seth shares a story, he shares that he really had some questions that brought up conflict and self-concern, but it was on an enlightenment path. It's just that he was so young. And children, where do we as children get this notion that we need to know why we exist? Is that coming from a bad place, or just a self-inquiry place, and then we are conditioned to turn it into a negative question?
That's exactly correct. Yeah, that's exactly correct. The desire to know yourself as you truly are, which is the path of enlightenment. That's all enlightenment is.
Right.
I actually see myself as I really am, not how I think I am. I mean, it really is that simple. That is, in fact, the only desire. Every other desire, no matter how materialistic it may seem, is simply the desire for the innate happiness that comes from knowing who you are. It's innate in us. Children gravitate towards it. They also gravitate towards curiosity, just exploring the world, but completely innocent, right?
Yes.
They don't have any idea of this is good or this is bad, this feels good, I should do this, I shouldn't do that. That's all laid on top of them, basically by the tribe. And little by little, we get kind of stuck in a container. Now, to a certain extent, we have to. My son stuck a fork in the light socket. you can't. You can't let him chase the ball into the street. There's a certain amount of restriction that has to take place. So it's kind of very natural for us to take on an identity in order to function in the world. The problem is that we forget that it's simply an identity we took on, and it's not actually who we are. That's why the path of enlightenment is required.
And somebody else wants your answers. A question about that with little children, and they have. I love that you said innocent curiosity, innocent exploring. So they're coming at like what you said. So what is it? This is an interesting question. A child who now they're just poking around doing their thing, and then the parents say, "No, don't run out into the middle of the street, and don't put the fork in the socket. Don't touch."
Right.
And then they do it anyways. Is it more just because they're just curious, or sometimes they really do want to just get their parents upset? I don't know. What is it? How? Yes. Why do we still?
It's a natural inclination. It's a natural inclination, and we have to be trained to throttle back our natural inclinations. and for good reason, because you know it is dangerous to chase the ball in the street, and so we have to learn how to do that. That's actually not the problem. You know, no, don't stick the fork in the light socket. That's not the problem. The problem is that when the rules and the restrictions that are being laid on them are really just the psychological patterns of the culture, there's a demeaning of the child that takes place. The child doesn't think, oh, this isn't a good thing to do, I need to be better. It thinks, I'm bad. Mommy, daddy good, I'm bad. And they begin to try to conform, begin to suppress out of us our natural inclinations, because they got us in trouble. They caused pain. And then we create really artificial behaviors to present to the environment in order to get our needs met. That's the birth of the egoic mind. That's the birth of the limited sense of self that Seth was talking about having to overcome and to get back into the infinite, which is where the children are all the time. Right? Now again, this isn't a mistake. It has to be this way. Because otherwise, none of us would live past 3.
Right. Yes. I love that you said artificial behaviors. I think that's where Seth was kind of getting in his story, in his book. He really stripped it down to nothing, beyond nothing. And he actually even said during the show, which I thought was really, really cool, not cool, really accurate, was that he stripped his life of so much that he didn't even know if he had a human body to return to, because he, you know, was emaciating, just like no food, no this, nothing. Coming back to artificial behaviors, do we need to strip ourselves of the artificial behaviors, or do we just need to reprogram? We have to identify them and then reprogram them.
Well, you can't reprogram them from the point of view of the egoic mind, which is the program. That's the problem.
Right.
The quest to know who you are transcends that, and just knowing who you are is enough. It will resolve all problems all by itself. You don't have to do a thing, right? But when you start out identified as a limited person trying to fix themselves, what's going to happen? Well, the broken one's trying to fix the break. Not going to work very well. So the spiritual path is not self-improvement. It's self-discovery.
Yes.
The self-discovery will bring about an improvement to it'll eradicate eventually all the conditioning and programming and bad habits, and it will do that. But you can't set out to eradicate the bad habits and conditioning and programming, because you're right in the middle of it. The thing you think you are is nothing but a program. It's just a collection of thoughts. The ego isn't a thing. The ego is habitual patterns of thought about myself. That's all it is.
Right.
And
the ego
you have to
isn't a
step
thing.
outside of that to see it as that. The moment you do, you're not that anymore. In that moment, you are awake. You are conscious. And from that place, now you can begin to. It's the same program. From this place of having awakened, the yoga of allowing takes over once again. Now you're sitting in the position of power, compassionately, lovingly, letting the system reprogram itself, abandon all the things that simply don't work. This is how it works. You know, the inquiry traditionally is known as Vedanta, which is a Sanskrit word that means the end of knowledge. Once that has ended, that is the false knowledge, the truth of you is known, right? It's a very inward path, right? As he did, completely withdrew, right, until there was nothing left but you. But when that happens, and you have become established there, it doesn't stop. You now turn around, and you can move back out into the world again as the awakened being, and that outward flow is what's known as Tantra.
Okay. It's really cool.
It is this in and out, this in and out. The whole universe is nothing but this divine pulse of in and out. That's the Bodhisattva and Buddha. Boy, wish you had time. I could go into this all day, but
Well, divine pulse. I love that because I was going to say at the end of knowing, and I was thinking, and the start of the heart. And it's neat because the subtitle of Seth's book is Initiation Through the Heart is the Only Way to Win. And that was like a perfect place to land right now because I know we have to wrap up. But first of all, GP Walsh, I want to thank you for coming on just for this like fun little conclusion wrap up. But you added so much more that was like its own little show. And just invite everybody to tune into The Flow of Enlightenment, which is on OMTimes Radio. It's tomorrow, Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And a big thank you for Seth Leaf Pruzansky for writing the Fight to Enlight. This book is incredible. You guys have to get it. It's just such a it's a story. It's a story that will take you on such an incredible adventure journey that can help you start asking and doing the self-inquiry that we're talking about right here, right now with GP. So thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, GP.
Thanks, Lisa. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Okay, bye, everyone.